And there is the starting 7 that coach Dasa has gone with, and Sivalingam in that goal shooter position. The backbone, the shooting star of the team, and there's the starting 7 for Singapore from Natalie Milicic. Sri Lanka versus Singapore, 15th and 16th up for grabs. The 2015 Netball World Cup, Singapore finished 15th. And Sri Lanka finished 16th. And we go again, the final match for both of these teams. So day number 8 here in Liverpool, England. The Vitality Netball World Cup starts with the match for 15th and 16th place. Sri Lanka taking on Singapore. So Pamela Cookie, we know all about the goal shooter for Sri Lanka. There she is. She is vital for them, we know, but the teams have played before in this competition. Sri Lanka taking the win, so therefore the homework's been done, right? We should have a slightly different match, maybe. Yeah, definitely, and we see there from the start, Singapore getting this turnover, and that'll be key for them in terms of trying to get intercepts higher up the court, because once it gets to the edge of the circle, it's really difficult to get a ball off a 6'8" shooter. Great shot there from So. She's starting how she finished off, so accurate under the post. She's one that's going to really need to play well today to lift this Singaporean team. Good start, settles the nerves for the Singapore side. Not won a match in 6. So looking for something before they travel home. Because remember, the Netball World Cup is once every 4 years. You get one chance every 4 years to make a dent. But these matches matter, Pamela, because of world ranking points. You have to perform because it makes a difference, right? It's not just a 15th, 16th playoff. There's a lot riding on it. Yeah, definitely, and especially for Singapore ranked down, I think it's 26th, their world ranking. So if they can beat someone above them, that makes a big difference in terms of where they then finish off on that world ladder. See the take there by the goal shooter. The tallest in the tournament at 6'10", so no surprise, she takes the balls with ease. But back up the other end, this is a nice start by Singapore, and popped in by So in that goal attack position. She shot well for them so far in this competition. Yep, she's been really accurate for them when she's got the ball. But this lady putting up so many shots for Sri Lanka. So Singapore on the centre pass. They lost every quarter against Sri Lanka in that 88-50 defeat on Monday, which was the start of the prelim stage 2. Hence we're now on the final day of action for the 4 teams in Group E. Sri Lanka, Singapore here, followed by Samoa and Fiji. What we're looking at in terms of styles, Pamela, so far. Seen any changes? Are they pretty similar? Are they contrasting, and in what way? So Sri Lanka here are just working that ball. Oh, lovely no-look pass there into Sivalingam. But it's nice to see them being composed. They're not forcing that long ball, which we have seen Sivalingam struggle with on that take. So Singapore by 1. And good patient build up here from Singapore, and then just at that last minute putting the ball in, but Tan unable to keep 2 hands on it. Jayasuriya then in the goalkeeper position for Sri Lanka. She's had a good tournament. A very good tournament, and that was a nice move by the Sri Lankan side from the goalkeeper on the back line, nicely through the court into the hands of Sivalingam. You hear the voices of both the umpires. Anzo Kemp of South Africa, Louise Travis of England taking charge of this one. Nice little left foot balance. Yeah, nice. And I like this from her. The last time I saw Sivalingam play, when those balls went overhead and she couldn't bring it in with one hand, it then went off the back line. But that time she chased it and made sure she still kept it in.
Contact goal shooter.
Still continuing to work really hard, Sivalingam from Sri Lanka, 40 years old. When she first started training in netball her training schedule was literally, she'd pop 500 goals in the morning and 500 goals in the evening. She said, my arms would hurt when she first started netball. She's Sri Lanka's first professional player as well. Offered a contract to play in Australia's State Netball League, the third tier of their sport down under, as she takes the ball and will pop one in. Plays for the City West Falcons, Victoria's most successful team. She's still enjoying her netball down under, and so she should. The last 3 years she's been there. And once again at a World Cup, putting up some good statistics, and so far her side have a 3-goal lead.
Yeah, practice definitely makes perfect.
Yes. So time for Singapore now to respond. 21-11 was the score from this match on Monday that Sri Lanka won. Nice little pat on the back of appreciation from the Sri Lankan teammates there, even though the goal goes in. That communication, Pamela, on the court, vital, isn't it?
Yeah, so key, because you want to keep in connection with each other. You want to make sure that you're still on the same wavelength, still sticking to plan, still getting support from each other to lift.
Wing attack, holding the fly.
Lucky there.
Pass it offside, wing defence.
Again, great shot from So. 5 from 5, 100%. Nice and smooth. She has a lovely technique in terms of how much height she gets on her shot and the follow through.
Vantage contact, all defence.
Another one popped in, 100% so far from Sivalingam, excuse me. That's usual, but So on the other side here for Singapore, shooting at 100% as well. So pretty evenly matched in terms of their two major shooters at 100%, but it's Sri Lanka that have the 3-goal advantage, making it hard for Singapore.
Contact goalkeeper.
Yeah, all the shooters, as you say, in this game sat on 100%, and So continues that after that shot. But Mendes for Sri Lanka yet to take a shot. Everything has been going through their 6'8" goal shooter, and if you can get ball in like that so easily over the Singaporean defensive end, then why not?
So a quick burst of speed from Singapore on their centre pass. Moving it around, using the width of the court, getting it into the hands of So, their shooter. She maintains a 100% record. 21 from 27 in their last game for Singapore. They lost it to Samoa, but So shot the best of her team.
It's obstruction centre.
Nice from Singapore. And Amaranswa at goal shooter, goal at centre, sorry. Just that feed in around the edge of the circle. And her on it again in the defensive end to get that turnover.
Contact, wing defence. Goal defence, contact and obstructing, yes.
Most of the time, as a defender, Pamela, I suppose you just hope and wait for a rebound and position yourself in such a case that if Sivalingam does miss one, which as we can see she's not doing at the moment, you're there to pick it up and take it away from her.
Yeah, definitely, but it's as we were saying at the start, Singapore need to try and win this ball earlier up the court, so they're not, so it doesn't get to so close to the circle edge where it can get to Sivalingam. So put more pressure on the centre and the wing attack, get 3-foot arms over, just like Sri Lanka did there, getting this turnover again. Really pressurise the feeder high up in the court. Wow.
Nearly the Singapore goalkeeper, Nair, got to that one, but not quite. But doing what you say, Pamela Cookie, it's trying not to feed the shooting star in the first place, because you know what job she can do. And once again, though, Sri Lanka
attack, centre third.
On the build-up. 14-8 Sri Lanka lead. 6 minutes remaining of this first quarter. Remember, Sri Lanka going for their second win, Singapore their first. And this is the 15th, 16th position match playoff.
Advantage breaking, wing defence. Contact, wing attack. Advantage obstruction, goal defence.
Nice little bit of movement from the wing attack for Singapore. Kimberly Lim. Contact is called.
Nice shot. Good from Singapore. They need to just keep the scoreboard ticking over so they don't let Sri Lanka get too much of a gap. Nice, great intercept there from Go, standing perfectly in front. And that, again, was because of the pressure they put high up so that she was able to get that lofted ball.
Drew a positive response from the crowd as well. And now they have to capitalise, Singapore. They've got that intercept. They've taken it out of the hands of Sivalingam. Let's have a look at it, Pamela.
Great footwork, getting in front.
That'll buoy the spirits of the Singapore team. And they pull one back, 15-10, under 5 minutes remaining of this first quarter. Kwok, the centre for Singapore, gets us underway. And back on her feet, and here she is, back in possession. Nice little pass into So.
Great shot. And when she gets that ball in that circle, she's not afraid to shoot long as well as under the post. So it's good confidence for the Singapore team. Better pressure here from Singapore, making Sri Lanka work high up. But a lovely feed. It came from down on her chest, but the height that Bajappas could get on that.
See the little Zebedee-style jump of Jarasaria, the goalkeeper for Sri Lanka, making her 50th cap for Sri Lanka today. And her team now have a 4-goal advantage.
Much better feeding into Sivalingam, into her two hands so that she can take it easily.
Heading off, call, goalkeeper advantage, goal.
If they can potentially just stop a couple more like they did before Singapore, when they get their opportunities, Pamela, they're taking it, they're ticking over nicely, but just that little deficit that they need to work back, as Sivalingam, who was the top shooter at the Netball World Cup in 2011. We know what she does. Singapore have to try and stop them getting it to her because they're shooting well. Look at the statistics, 100% from both Tan and So, the shooters for Singapore.
Yeah, shooting really, really well. It's just getting the ball in a lovely elevation there. But it just falls into Sri Lanka's hands. If they can do more of that just to disrupt the shooting end, that will bode well for them. I think need to get a little bit more physical in that circle.
Stay on side.
So they can get in the mind of the Sri Lankan shooters. Well, shooter. Mendes still hasn't put a shot up on the ball yet.
And their loss on Wednesday to Fiji. Sri Lanka, Sivalingam shot 92%. There were only 16 other shots made by any other shooter in that match against Fiji by 2 shooters. So that 92% that she regularly hits in matches. A nice little tussle. Pull back of the ball again from there, the goalkeeper for Singapore. And we're up the other end, and another one's popped in. Under 2 minutes remaining now in this first quarter. They've scored more, though, Pamela, from the first quarter when they played on Monday, Singapore.
Yeah, it was 21-11 after that first quarter. So to get 14 on the board shows that improvement that we have been talking about.
Advantage breaking, wing attack.
So clearly time for a couple more goals here in this first 15 minutes. It's all going Sri Lanka's way at the moment. If you look at the world rankings, that's to be expected. Look at the first match that they had against each other in this World Cup. That's to be expected. But Sivalingam stands at 2 meters and 6 tall. And in the goalkeeper position for Singapore, which is Sindhu Nair, she stands at 1 meter 73. So we can see the height difference clearly.
Obstruction, contact centre.
The squeak of the trainers on the court of the M&S Bank Arena, the final match for Sri Lanka and Singapore.
This out outside, goal defence. Go line.
Force that one off the back line. Mendes just saying, control it, they had time. But Singapore now will want to get this ball down the court and at least get one on the more on the board before they go into the quarter-time break.
Both their shooters at 100%, remember.
Whole time.
The clock's ticking down.
So this next pass needs to go straight into that circle if they can. These shooters just need to get off the defenders, create some space for themselves.
Singapore inside.
Time up.
But the whistle goes after the first 15 minutes of this final match between Sri Lanka and Singapore, the 15th, 16th match. Who's going to finish 15th? Who's going to finish 16th? At the moment, Sri Lanka are leading 23-15. then, the second quarter between Sri Lanka and Singapore to decide which team finishes 15th and 16th in this Netball World Cup. Remember, Singapore 4 years ago in Sydney were 15th, Sri Lanka was 16th. And at the moment, Sri Lanka have the upper hand with the lead and therefore could finish one place higher than in Sydney 4 years ago. So myself and Pamela Cookie scanning the court. There's been a change in the goal shooter position for Singapore. We'll confirm any changes that both coach Gina Dasa and Milicic for Sri Lanka and Singapore have made.
Yeah, Pan Shan Lee, the 6'1" target for Singapore, is now coming to that goal shooter position. But here, Sivalingam again. She's jumping, she's taking ball well, but just missing but getting the rebound.
So confirmation then of the 7 on court for Singapore. Natalie Milicic has made that change in the wing attack position with Go, and now, as Pamela mentioned, Lee in the goal shooter position for them. So changing it up. Is that a surprise, Pamela, when her shooting outfit in the first 15 minutes was doing so well? But of course we know with netball it's type for type sometimes, more than just if you're doing well.
Indeed, and it might just be they were scoring, as we saw, 100%, but how often were they getting that ball into a shooting position? So bring in Lee on just to change that up a bit. Maybe they can get some longer balls in with her height.
Regular shooter for Singapore throughout this tournament. Shot at 83% in the loss on Monday against Sri Lanka. She netted 15 of her 18 goals. So she's had some play-out time here in Liverpool, but now it's Sri Lanka then on the sideline. Alamozana in that centre position. The high ball over to Sivalingam, and she rolls another one in. And she's such an inspiration, isn't she, Pamela? 40 years old, but still working and grafting at her trade, and why not?
Indeed, and as you'd say, the rest of the team really look up to her. She's the first person that's gone over to Australia to play professionally. City West Falcons, Victoria's most successful team. Her 1,000 shots a day that she does is proving dividends, but also boarding with a former Commonwealth champion for Australia, Nicole Richardson. So she's learning how to play at that top level from these great players, and she's bringing that skill and that knowledge into this Sri Lankan team.
Yep, Nicole Richardson, the coach of the City West Falcons in Victoria. Started at university, Sivalingam, here she is, and got into the national team after starting at university very quickly indeed. Understandably so. They pulled it out to 10. Sri Lanka now, it was 8 after the first quarter. Nice little whiz into the position from So, the goal attack for Singapore. Still on court, still at 100%.
15 from 15 from her. Great work to try and keep Singapore in this game. But this ball in, that's the improvement I've seen from Sri Lanka. How they're learning to feed Sivalingham. And Mendes there getting that ball nice and high with that one hand, right into the right place for her.
Out.
Down the other end though, So can't do the same thing in that opportunity.
Offside wing attack.
Oh, unlucky there from Liv.
A little wry smile, wasn't it? She knew, but thought maybe half a chance of getting away. But no, Anzo Kemp, the South African, Louise Travis, the English umpire.
Good work. Aiden there at wing defence.
You know, I'm just looking down on the court. There's 2 female umpires, so clearly what we have on our starting umpire list. Oh no, it is Anzo Kemp and Louise Travis. Just double checking, seeing the 2 ponytails of the umpires. And keeping this game under control well, and that was a lovely little move, wasn't it? A little run in there, Pamela. They're getting a bit more movement now, Singapore.
Yeah, Aiden leading that challenge, and yes, good work from Nair.
That was good.
That's what they need to do. That's where the wing defence and goal defence, goalkeeper combination, winning ball higher up in that third.
The crowd enjoyed that one, a little bit of flair from the Singapore side.
Centre. Stay out of the circle centre.
And she is, umpire Kemp shouting direction. Oh, lovely.
Good, and good to have that strength and core stability to flick it back onto her teammate. Not just happy with a disruption of play, winning the ball back for her team.
Goal attack. Goal circle.
So under 10 minutes remaining until half time. Singapore still 8 down. That's what they were at the end of the first quarter. But a little bit more of a spark here now from Singapore. That change in the shooting positions made. You see the goal shooter, Shan Lee. Is this something, Pamela Cookie, that head coach Natalie Milicic there in the centre of our shot will be pleased with?
Yeah, definitely, and I think she's rotated that shooting end. Tan and Lee, both playing similar quarters, but this change has really just lifted them, and sometimes that's what you need in a team, just to come out after that quarter with a change in personnel, just to add a little bit of spark and a little bit different.
Body striking wing defence.
Mendes playing this kind of wing attack role. We're yet to see her put up a shot, but she has been so awesome in feeding Sivalingham. And there it is again.
But of all the good things we've said about Sivalingham, and rightfully so, at the mature, experienced age of 40, there will come a time when she will leave the Sri Lankan side. So is there an argument that, yes, she's doing the job for them now and she's popping the goals in, but that development of when she leaves the national side, she's going to leave a huge gap, isn't she?
Massive gap, because she's pretty much played every minute of this competition for them. And she didn't play in the last World Cup, and Sri Lanka finished bottom of the table. So she's showing that she has such an influence on this team, but in terms of future development, they need to start bringing some others through as well, so that they can take up the reins.
The next World Cup in 4 years' time, 2023 in South Africa, the first time the INF World Cup's been held in an African nation. And at 44, we will see if Sivalingham is still there. There's no reason why she shouldn't be. Looking after herself, playing well, developing a game all the time. That is yet to be seen, because at the moment she's trying to lead her side to a second win here in this Netball World Cup, and they're pulling it out, Pamela. They're 10 ahead now with just over 7 minutes until half time.
Yeah, and they've got this 10 margin, but then Singapore do keep bringing it back. It's been going between, lovely little teddy bear there, mascot.
What position would he be?
I'm going to go goal attack.
Oh, couldn't be a goalkeeper, bit short.
Bit short for goalkeeper, bit fluffy for a goalkeeper.
Up again, another one rolls in. See Sivalingham looking to the bench, always taking the advice, listening to the coach.
What is obstruction, goal attack?
Sri Lanka side
Wing attack,
now 10 up. The head coach of Sri Lanka will be happy with what she's seen so far. They put more goals up in the first quarter. They won the second quarter when they met on Monday, 24-11. And Sri Lanka are leading 11-9 in this second quarter so far. And Jinadasa just directly in front of us. There's the bench.
Get off the playing area.
All watching on intently, just in case they get the call up to take to the court when needed. Because even though you're on the bench, you need to still be stayed focused into this game. Yes, from there again, she's getting these every now and then. She just gets her timing right to get up on that elevation. Look at that height difference, and still able to get some tips on this ball. And again on the rebound.
Just this side.
That was the first shot for Mendes, and she misses
Contact,
it.
goalkeeper.
But Civilingham there, ready to mop up. Look at this here. Great footwork and timing to get to that.
And we talked about the height difference between those two in that goal shooter goalkeeper position. Good height. Oh, Singapore now opening it up a little bit, looking a bit more fluid, moving it around.
Yeah, Aideen there again at wing defence. She's really covered that third line well in terms of running onto these loose passes and getting a little hand to it in a turnover. Now Singapore need to reward her for this.
Right side of the post.
All the applause from the Sri Lanka bench, rallying their team here, who are still 10 up. No movement or emotion yet from coach Jinadasa. There she is, that was the back of her there, ponytail and glasses. And her second stint as their national coach, reappointed last year. Tilaka Jinadasa represented Sri Lanka at netball herself, and she was an Olympic sprint hurdler. Hence I know the name and the face from 1988. Oh, another one goes in. Back up to 95%. Now, Pamela, but a little nice bit of play from Singapore, but it's not denting the scoreline as much as Natalie Milicic, the head coach of Singapore, would want.
Yeah, and I think Lee has come up. She's shooting 3 from 3, but there's a couple of balls now. 2 went off that back line, but when she's in that lovely front hold, she takes the ball so well. So she needs to remember that now and know this is what works for me. On the back hold, I've missed a couple, so let me start to work round my goal defence, my goalkeeper, sorry, get in front position and provide an option for my attacking end.
Saw a quick glimpse of Natalie Milicic, the head coach.
Contact.
She said her aim
Goal
was to
defence.
improve on the last World Cup where they finished 15th. She wanted 13th or 14th, the Singapore head coach said. There she is. She's not going to get that, though. She's going to equal at best what they did 4 years ago in Sydney in this 15th, 16th position match. It'll be interesting to see whether she deems this Netball World Cup with Singapore a success or not.
What a pass from Kwok. Left-handed, it almost banana bended round the defence into so.
Sri Lanka outside. Goal line.
Goal line, wing attack, Sri Lanka. Wani Thieka puts it in. Oh, yes.
Contact goalkeeper.
Another attempt there by Sindhu Nair, the goalkeeper for Singapore. And she's getting vocal now, Civilingham, getting involved as her team lead this
3
with
seconds.
3 minutes and under now to go till half-time.
In the circle.
Singapore making it really hard there for Kwok.
Wing defence in
Only
the circle.
one option coming towards her, and so that 3-second call being had. So shooting well, but she just needed to do a little bit
Contact
more
with
up
goal attack.
on that centre pass to help out.
It was 45-22 at half-time when these teams played on Monday.
Full-time goal defence,
In
Sri
that
Lanka.
Win that Sri Lanka had. This is a little bit of a change on court, a nice round of applause. Change in the goal defence position for Sri Lanka. Ayaki had been occupying that role. We'll bring confirmation of the changes now then that Coach Jinadasa is making. Lovely camera angle. That
Yeah.
gives you the width of
Goal
the court, the
defence,
positioning
contact.
of the players, the speed of the ball, the angles.
I love that. I really do. Just shows how the ball travels down the line. And also you see there how Nair was so far off Schimmerling, and where she's been successful is when she's been tighter on her. The ball isn't going as high and down, so if she can just take a little step back. But great 1-2 there, shoot a ball. Lee takes it under the post.
She does, and Pai Shang Li now at 100%, still 5 from 5. So 45-22 in the match on Monday. Sri Lanka just 3 down from what they scored, but Singapore up. But the World 26 side struggling to make more of a dent on Sri Lanka. But they're trying though with 60 seconds to go
Left side, yes.
until half-time, working with what they've got, the skill set.
But not learning from that. That's the third ball now that's gone over the back line into So. Change it up when it's not working.
Obstruction, wing defence.
Well, we'll see if Coach Gina Dasa, or in
Contact.
particular Natalie
Goalkeeper
Milicic of
advantage
Singapore, makes changes at half-time. 30 seconds odd to go until the first half an hour of this 15th, 16th position match here at the Netball World Cup is played out. You saw Sivalingam looking up at the clock. She must be tired. She must be. We're getting into the back end of a World Cup here. She talked about when she was younger doing all these pops and her arms were getting really tired. We're seeing a bit of fatigue from some of the sides in the World Cup so far from the lower ranked nations.
Oh, definitely, because they're not used to playing at this intensity for this many days. For these two teams, 7 games in 9 days is what they will play. So it's really difficult. And here we see Nair. How many times has she had to jump over this competition? How many times has she had to run her feet? And it all plays a toll on your body.
Wing defence.
The crowd shortly will do their normal routine of counting down the clock here. 4 huge screens above this beautifully laid out court in Liverpool. Oh, has she got time?
No goal. She just went off the back line.
The hooter goes, a little bit of drama at the end of the second quarter. But Sri Lanka in control here against Singapore, leading 43 goals to 28.
Hanging on their coattails. Good work on posting on the social media, thank you very much.
So the third quarter here of the first game on day 8 at the Vitality Netball World Cup. Sri Lanka leading Singapore 43-28. We will scan. Let's see if any changes have been made by Coach Gina Dasa and Coach Milicic of Singapore.
Contact, wing attack, Sri Lanka.
Fumble there on the ball. Good pressure around the edge of the circle from Sri Lanka.
Contact advantage offside, goal attack.
So Singapore putting more on the board, and they did on that match on Monday at half-time, closer to the Sri Lankan side, which is a positive, and that's what Singapore will be doing now, isn't it, Pamela Cookie? Coach Natalie Milicic will be looking at the positives from this World Cup. She wanted a higher position, as I mentioned, 13th or 14th. She's not going to get that. She's potentially not going to win against Sri Lanka here, so will not have hit her targets, but it's all about taking something.
Yeah, and she'll be bitterly disappointed, and we've seen in a lot of her post-match interviews when she said they just haven't quite lived up to what we were working towards, what we were doing. And so, yeah, for them, this competition wouldn't be how they had wanted it to be. Just other teams too strong for them.
They're shooting well, we've said that. What's the main area going forward that Singapore have to work on, and obviously with a good coach as they have, potentially will work on?
Yeah, they need to work on that consistency throughout the thirds, not just throughout the quarters and the thirds. And it's that attacking end, making sure when they get the turnover, which they have been getting quite a bit of in this game, that they finish it off at the end. I think a few players are just running out of space, not quite holding well. And that's the first miss from So. You can't just rely on her to be shooting such high percentages. You need the rest of the team. Aideen has a good performance at wing defence, but not enough. And not working together as a group.
So
Advantage contact center.
back into the hands of the goal
Contact
shooter.
goal defense.
She's shooting at 96%. Sivalingam rolling another one in. Of course, dropping in the digits left, right and centre in terms of the amount she's scored through this Netball World Cup, and that's nice. Now Sri Lanka, a little bit of an increase in the pace.
Yeah, Disasoria and Jayasoria working so well. Sorry, Disanayaka at goal defence, working really well.
Saw confirmation of the Singapore 7 on court just a few moments ago. Rashid now in the centre position for them, looking to inject a bit more movement, a bit more pace, get that ball, as you say, Pamela, down into a shooting position.
Nice fake there from Mendes. Again, she is just being so good on those feeds into the circle. Yes, not putting many shots up, just the one which she missed, but her goal assists have been top-notch. And again, Singapore just struggling to get through this defence, and a lovely take there
Advantage obstruction, goal attack.
by centre Amaranska for Sri Lanka.
Advantage obstruction, wing attack. Advantage contact, goal attack.
Oh, lucky there, just off the post into her hands.
So another one popped in. See the notepads in the back of your shot at the coaching bench. There's Gina Dasa, the head coach, as I mentioned, reappointed last year, the former Brunei coach. She was there for 7 years, in between her 2 stints of being head coach of Sri Lanka. In total control in this match. And we talked about Singapore's Netball World Cup, Pamela Cookie, and how they'll be slightly disappointed, falling short of the aims. What about Sri Lanka? This will be, if they hold out, of course, their second win. Both would have been over Singapore in this Netball World Cup. How will they assess what they've done here in Liverpool?
Well, it'll be an improvement on the last World Cup in Sydney, going up 1 place. Yes, they have had Sivalingam back into the squad now and been feeding her well. They will be disappointed, though, they haven't upped in terms of the other nations.
Move back, yes.
But
no, it's a penalty.
in terms of finishing strong, they are finishing really strong here, and they've put out good performances against Singapore. Sivalingam there, 40 years old, still going strong, still so accurate and still getting that volume of shots.
Advantage contact, wing defence.
It will be 2 wins from the World Cup, as Pamela said, but both against the same nation of Singapore. We'll hopefully hear the thoughts of Gina Dasa, because this is the last match, of course, here in Group E for that 15th, 16th playoff. Or position, should I say. It's the last match for both of these sides, of course. And Sri Lanka throwing it around. 51-31, a 20-goal advantage. It was 15 at half-time for the Sri Lankan side. So they're stretching away with this one. Sri Lanka, their 10th World Cup appearance, 3rd consecutively. 9th is her best ever finish, Pamela, when we're talking about whether Coach Gina Dasa will be happy or not. They finished 9th. That was back in 1963.
Yeah, indeed, and just as we just take a moment to appreciate that pass and take from So a goal attack. But yes, they have finished higher in the table in previous World Cups. Slipped off the pace a little bit in the past couple.
Time, wing attack.
A change in red for Singapore, as you heard, shouting out from the umpires. Goal attack change. So, who'd shot at 96%, has been swapped in, my head coach, and a change at wing attack as well. So, an attacking change by Milicic in this 3rd quarter.
And it works up for them. Oh, jinxed it, said it too early. But that play, as they just made those changes, finding their way more easily into that circle.
Goal shooter.
The legendary commentator's curse that we all have. But the change was made. And a little bit of impetus. And the attacking change now. That was nice. Look at that. The speed was better. The direction and the angle was better.
Really, really good work here. See how much space she had on Desinayaka. Great angle on that for us to see.
Ball is offside, wing attack. Contact on the ball centre. Sorry, ladies.
Snatch from Sivalingam. And another goal. Let's have a look now. What's she working on here? Let's see. That's what, 57 shots. And she's netted 54.
Footwork dragging, wing defence.
It was the match against Singapore, wasn't it, Pamela? I'm thinking when she shot 78 and she netted 76 of them in the equivalent match earlier this week. So she's putting a hefty wedge against the Singapore side. There's the tall shooter. There's confirmation of those changes for Singapore in the goal attack and the goal shooter position. Just seeing those last couple going through.
Yeah, So who'd been shooting so well at goal attack has now moved into goal shooter, and Toe comes on at goal attack.
The oohs, the ahs of the M&S Bank crowd as the Singapore defenders try every single time to not let it get into the hands of their star shooter.
I'd like to see a bit more feistiness from Nair and Teo in that defensive end for Singapore, just to make it a little bit more difficult for Sivalingam and Mendes. But again, that shooting from Singapore, Tao, 1 from 1 since she's come on. Really, really accurate. But they need more ball if they are to kind of close this gap on Sri Lanka.
Another high ball goes in. You're a shooting sensation for England, Pamela. 114 caps.
Yeah.
You wore the Roses vest. When you're a shooter, and therefore what annoyed you the most, or what was the best course of action, or anything that the defender did that you didn't like because it disrupted what you wanted to do?
Exactly, yeah, it's that tight man-on-man marking. I needed, you always want your personal space around you, but defenders don't let you do that. They're on the body, but then also being able to mix up between the two. So if they're constantly just on you, then you know that what space is to play because you're always one behind the ball. But if they mix up on you and off you, you're always guessing, and you never know when a fly's going to come out. So, yeah, and that's what I'd like to see change from Singapore. Defensive end, get tight on the body. Sivalingam doesn't shoot many from far out. She's so under the post, she's really clinical and really successful. So get behind her, push her up the court so that she feels a little bit aggrieved. She feels that body-on-body position and doesn't help her get confident on that shot. Yeah, so as we see here, Jayasuriya, so much off Sigalliman. She's got so much space in that circle. Yes, I know she's trying to win a ball out the edge, but she's not up enough. And then it's so easy, as we just see there, just to pop it over her head. Whereas if she was right up close on her, it will force her out of the circle and it'll put that extra little bit of pressure.
And just moments before that, the goalkeeper for Singapore was actually up right up to her allowable line. It was the hugest gap. Obviously watching play and following play before the passage of play started, but yes, I think as many defenders in the world over the last few years trying to work out how to defend against Sivalingam. But a roar from the crowd as Singapore do something that they like. 58-36, under 5 minutes remaining of this third quarter, and a little rattle in, and another one pops.
Singapore.
See here, great. So she started off a lot closer, so that when that ball went in the air, she was able to track back. The one before, she was miles off her. So even if she did run back in time, the ball was always going to beat her.
She's got to stick to her like glue.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. She's got to irritate her.
Irritate her, get in her way. Dance round her, get your body involved in that.
Goalkeeper.
She's not contacting, they're both contesting for the ball, so don't be afraid to get up and personal.
With the keeper.
So another goal pops in for Singapore.
And we see a change now from Singapore in goalkeeper position. toe has gone on, Joanna Toe. So let's see now if she can add a little bit more pressure onto Sivillingham.
Sri Lanka leading this quarter by 16 goals to 10, so it's the closest one so far as we head towards 3.5 minutes remaining. Sri Lanka had an 8-goal win in the first quarter, 7 in the second. Currently a 6-goal lead that they have in terms of quarter by quarter. There's confirmation of the change in the goalkeeper position for Singapore. And as Pamela Cookie said, let's see if that difference can be made. I'm watching her, Pamela. I'm watching the goalkeeper. Go on, stick to her like glue. Get all over her. That's what we want to see.
But, yeah, and I say about the goalkeeper in their position, but it's also goal defence is pressure in there as well. So Teo, they need to work together to be able to get on top of this goal shooter. One sweep in the front, one sweep in the back.
Offside, goal attack.
Because I suppose in Netball World Cups, reputation in any sport goes ahead of you. She's established, everyone knows how she plays, but sometimes just try something different.
Yeah.
Just mix it up. What's the worst that can happen?
Exactly, yeah, do something different. We're now in the third quarter. It hadn't been successful. At times, yes, it had in those first two. So mix it up, try something different. Have the goalkeeper dropping in late, going for that fly, getting more of a run, and goalkeeper stepping up onto the goal attack. We've seen Mendes hasn't even put another shot up since that second quarter. 0 from 1. So she's not really a threat. She's feeding really well, but on the shot.
And a tussle little battle back into the hands of Sri Lanka. You know what you get with Sivillingham.
And when she does miss, she's on that rebound.
Well, she's 6'10", the post is 10 foot, so a very small drop between any rebound that's going to come off. A little bit of frustration from Lim, the wing attack for Singapore there. Sri Lanka's ball on the sideline, 62-39, under 90 seconds remaining until the last 15 minutes of this Netball World Cup for both Sri Lanka and Singapore. Nice little step forward. She's never far away, so just a little step needed.
And this is where I'd say, get behind her. Nice work there. Contrary to what I just said, however, I'd like to see them just push Sivillingham further away from that post. But those intercepts have been few and far between.
Well done.
It's true, there's no body on body, there's no rolling, there's no pushing, there's no hustling that we see from so many of the teams here at the World Cup. In particular yesterday, we just saw the highlight package of Australia and New Zealand, body on body.
Positive structure goal attack.
Both teams putting so much pressure on each other, and that's what the top teams do. They know, and they're physically able to as well, because that's not easy to do, constantly on someone for a whole 60 minutes.
Gives herself a little round of applause as Singapore pop another one in. Coming up to 10 seconds remaining then.
See, and that's where Sivillingham has been missing. When that pressure has been on, yes, she got that take, but she missed the shot. Great pressure there.
The hooter goes. Sri Lanka stretch out their lead over Singapore, en route to their second victory over the Singapore side in this Netball World Cup, and en route to finishing 15th here in Liverpool. Fourth and final quarter between Sri Lanka and Singapore. It's a 25-goal lead. Pamela Cookie, there were 15 at half-time. They're turning the screw. A little bit of fatigue coming in, no doubt, for both sides, but in particular maybe Singapore.
Yeah, indeed, and as you say, Sri Lanka have just put their foot on the pedal a little bit more now, really taking this game away. Singapore are looking tired. They're not able to find a way to break through and convert those opportunities, because we know when they get it in the shooting circle, they're so accurate. So Sri Lanka on the attack.
Advantage obstruction. Singapore, sorry, Sri Lanka
and
off
that
you,
is what you can
goalkeeper.
do.
Sri Lanka off you.
Against Sivalingham, when she has to be on the move, the
Yes.
hands haven't been as strong. But Sri Lanka keep hold of the ball.
Well, she hugs it, she pops it in. That's 76 goals that I mentioned that she shot out of 78 in the win against Singapore on Monday. It's the highest individual score at the Netball World Cup in 2019. And this is
Contact
likely
outside,
potentially
wing the fence.
to get beaten.
Wing the
What's
fence
she on now?
outside.
66 at the moment, Sivalingham.
Obstruction,
So she's 10
goalkeeper.
away with 13 minutes to go.
You can see that
Yeah,
being broken, can't you?
yeah, that looks like it's going to get beaten here today in this match. And I mentioned Pamela, she was the top scorer at the 2011 World Cup as well, Sivalingham.
Yeah, she shot all 59 goals at 100% in their loss to Barbados. But in terms of their overall competition, she was flying.
There's confirmation then of the team on court for Sri Lanka. A
Wing
change
attack,
in the
breaking.
centre position. Mathegadira coming in. Amawazana into wing attack. So some changes being made by coach Jinadasa.
Out throwing.
Yeah, and that'll be, I think, due to that fatigue and getting some fresh legs onto this court. You say fresh legs, they've had 7 days of netball under their belts, but
Fresh in terms of this game, yes. Just a couple of rest days for all of the nations. 10 days of competition, 8 days of play in total. And this is the last bit of action for both of these sides. A nice little clap from the goal shooter for Singapore. So at 94%.
Over this way.
Looking for the feed, looking for that little eye of the needle and thread through.
yeah. And again, if you get Sivalingham a little bit further away from the post, she is prone to missing, but she's on that rebound. Oh, fabulous work there. Kapask not able to keep it in two hands, but great run into that corner. And it forces a turnover.
Wait for it to come down this way.
See in the back of your shot, a little bit of movement from the Singapore bench. 3 players ready and poised. There's going to be changes here. They're just waiting for the rip of the Velcro to get their opportunity. Gosh, you can hear a needle drop on the floor at the moment. There we go. They were lined up and ready. Oh, it's like musical chairs with Velcro, Pamela Cookie. Look, we'll wait until they've sorted themselves out before we try and work out what Natalie Miller-Chick has done with her Singapore side.
Yeah, I think the last quarter, she's now just looking to give her whole team experience, get them all out on this court for their last time in this Netball World Cup.
Contact.
Mendes
Goal
again
defense.
on those no-look
Where you are,
passes.
shooter.
Miller-Chick has spoken about how much herself and her team have learned a lot. She said, we've really, really enjoyed it. They've took some heavy losses against New Zealand, 89-21. That's to be expected, 87-38 against Malawi. But there she is. And quite rightly, she said, look, we're learning all the time. And this is what teams in the lower rankings of the INF rankings will do. They'll come up against the good teams in the world and they will learn and then hopefully have the facilities and the structure and the players in place to move it forward.
Yeah, definitely, and that's what I like about this competition and the structure is they get the opportunities to play those higher ranked teams, also different styles from around the world, and you learn from that every time you step on the court. And yes, they have lost, but some teams haven't had this opportunity. The likes of Wales not qualifying, they've not had the opportunity to play all these players in a World Championship. So they need to take every bit of learning from this experience.
And they will. Teams qualifying by regions for this Netball World Cup, unless you're one of the top teams in the world that get in off world rankings. Singapore was second in their Asian regional qualifying tournament in Singapore last year. Hence they're here. And Sri Lanka, they qualified by winning that Asian regional tournament. And just for the record, Sivalingam shot 98% in that regional qualifying tournament, and Sri Lanka won it last year. No surprise.
What is obstruction, goalkeeper?
And this Singapore team is quite young as well, so you're potentially going to see a lot of these players,
Wing attack.
if they qualify again for the next World Cup here, and they've got this experience under their belt, they then have 4 more years of playing time and working together, and we could potentially see a different side.
Only 2 of the whole squad that Natalie Milicic has been to a World Cup before. That's
What is
Kimberly
obstruction,
Lim
goal attack?
and Charmaine So. This is her 3rd
What is offside, centre?
World Cup for the shooter. And experience is telling, and she's popping them in. But a very young team,
breaking wing
as Pamela
attack?
Cookie said, for Singapore.
You're
And now
causing
we've got
the
under 10
contact
minutes
wing
left
attack.
then of the campaign here in Liverpool for both of these sides. Sri Lanka are going to
Artist
win this
contact
one
with
out. I'm
attack,
saying that,
advantage,
Pamela
obstruction,
Cookie,
goal
with
attack.
confidence.
Yes.
At 71-47. But nice little passages again of play by Singapore.
But it's at those crucial times where they have been disappointed in terms of they've not
is
been
contact,
able to
wing
convert
attack.
those turnovers, take it down into a goal scoring opportunity. But this Sri Lanka defence, you have to give credit to them. They've been the one to turn over ball.
Obstruction, wing defence.
Fabulous work from Singapore. And the crowd really lift from that. And there's times like that, those big moments of sparkiness, that crucial intercept, that drive down the court, that smooth play.
What is offside, wing defence?
It makes it all
Goalkeeper
worthwhile, all
contact
that
with the
training
knee.
that they've done and the performances they've put in to
Goalkeeper,
get themselves to
please,
this
thank you.
point.
Well, the most they've put on the board in this World Cup in terms of score for Singapore. They put 56 on Fiji when they lost on Tuesday. So they're looking to hopefully creep towards getting their highest goals dropped in. And talking of high goals, Sivalingam, we mentioned that stat from 2011, Pamela, but she shot every single goal here today for Sri Lanka. 72 they have, all from the 6'10" shooting start. And she's looking to surpass that mark that you previously mentioned
Wing
in terms of the
that's
goals
causing
that she
contact.
put
Penalty outside.
against Singapore earlier in the competition. 76. If they go past that and they're all hers, that's another milestone.
Wing
That's another
defence,
stat,
get off
right?
the body.
Exactly.
Wing defence.
All of her
Get
goals,
off the
Pamela,
body.
all of the goals have come from her.
That's crazy, and it's unheard of in most games. But she has just been dynamite under that post, and her partner Mendes hasn't worried about that. As a goal attack, you would think she'd want to get some more shots up, but when it has been so easy getting it to their shooter, continue to play like that.
But
Contact
goes
goal
back to the
defence.
point we said.
But it's
At
offside,
40 years
wing
old.
defence.
Yeah.
When times move on. And that was a good little shot that was from toe for Singapore. This quarter, Singapore are leading 11 goals to 8.
Great stats. And I think just to pick up on your point there with, but yes, Sivalingam being 40, they've won this game. They pretty
That's
much had this
obstruction
game won
centre.
at half-time. Would you not bring on one of your younger shooters to have this experience and play on to finish off this tournament?
Well, they have them. Rani Falika's in the squad. Ambe Goda's in the squad. So they do have other players. 24 and 27, though, in terms of
Contact
age
wing
for them.
defence.
So where is that next generation of Sri
But it's
Lankan
offside,
shooters
wing
coming from?
defence.
How are they developing that?
Sri Lanka on the centre pass. Movement, you can see. Oh, she's off her seat. Coach
Wing defence.
Jinadasa. Maybe a
Wing
couple more
Singapore.
changes coming from them
Stay out of the
in the
circle.
final few minutes.
I like this partnership of Nair and Aideen at goalkeeper and goal defence. They're really running, especially Aideen now moved from wing defence to goal defence, making it more difficult and putting a lot more pressure in that Sri Lankan shooting end. She's got a lot of spark,
Wide.
Aideen.
Centre Sri Lanka.
Yeah, centre position is going to be changed for Sri Lanka. Wathegadira exits the court. And once again, as Pam said, Coach Gina Dassa giving some of her players a run out, but not to the shooting end.
No, but Singapore winning this quarter, 13-9.
Offside, wing defence.
Great final end to this. Maybe this combination should have started.
Wing defence, the circle, please. Yes. Obstruction, wing defence. Inside the circle.
So a confirmation of those changes.
Contact goalkeeper.
Yeah, just a little bit too far
Yes, thank you.
for the goal shooter, so on that occasion.
On the ball, goal defence. Both players out. Both.
Yeah, she was trying to take it from her then, quite literally, let alone defend it. So both stand by as another one drops in. 74-54.
Lovely feed in.
Footwork, no goal.
Footwork called on Siverlingham. Pressure telling. And it will bring mistakes, as we just see there.
Advantage offside, wing defence. Obstruction, goal defence.
Drops in nicely. Crowd enjoying the final 3.5 minutes of Netball World Cup action here in Liverpool by both Sri Lanka and Singapore.
Advantage contact,
They'll
wing
go back,
defence.
they'll rebuild. They will do their tournaments and
Obstruction,
hopefully
goal
come
defence.
back in 4 years' time. Nice little step forward again. A rare miss from So. She's been shooting on super form so far, 95%.
Yeah, it's the third one that she's missed in this whole game. She's taken a lot of weight in that shooting end. 37 out of 40 goals, 40 attempts. Again, good partnership, strong. They're working together nicely. That goal defense goalkeeper, so key when you've got a tall shooter. Can't just expect one player to do it on their own.
Sri Lanka.
Oh, they're denying Siverlingham. She's on 74. Remember, 76 she put past Singapore in this match before.
Bendes doesn't want to shoot.
Centre.
Go on, go on.
Yeah, there it is. 1 from 2, 50%.
She's completely ruined Siverlingham's stats of scoring every single goal in the match, but you know what? She won't mind, of course she won't, Siverlingham. But Mendes pops one in, 1 from 2, 50%, 74 from 81 for Siverlingham. 2 minutes remaining before the teams pack up and depart here in the northwest of England. Sri Lanka are going to finish 15th, which will be 1 place up from their finish 4 years ago in 2015. Singapore, therefore, will finish 16th, which will be 1 place down than they finished in the beautiful city of Sydney 4 years ago.
But at least they can take some consolidation from the fact that they're winning this last quarter. And with the 1 minute 30 on the clock, most likely will win this last quarter. And so a good end to the game, but Sri Lanka just too strong for them in those first 3.
Advantage contact, goal shooter.
I fully expect coach Natalie Milicic to, as I've mentioned, talk about how much they've enjoyed and how much they've learnt. And a snatch from Siverlingham.
Amarawanska there at centre. Nice fake of the ball. So those two defences have been working well since they come in this last quarter, getting close. And there we see that partnership delivering again. But that little fake from Amarawanska shifted them to get that ball in on the last one. But great play here from Singapore to end this.
Advantage obstruction, goal attack.
Siverlingham, this is to match the amount of goals she put against Singapore earlier in the week. She pops in her 76.
Body's obstruction, centre. Contact,
Consistency.
wing defence.
She put 76 on Singapore twice
Wing defence,
as the
step
shooting
away.
start. And Sri Lanka now with 20 seconds to go.
Obstruction, goal defence, advantage.
Nice
For the
long
final
shot.
few seconds.
Can they get one more to let her beat that target?
Or will Mendes actually come in and take another shot and stop another stat?
With her advantage taken.
Oh my days.
She's going to do it. Contact call. She gets the shot.
Hey!
There it is.
77 put through the net for Sivalingam. One more than she put against Singapore on Monday. And Sri Lanka end this Netball World Cup by beating Singapore again, their second win of the competition. 78-57, hugs and high fives all round. Sri Lanka finished 15th, Singapore finished 16th. So a swap in positions at this Netball World Cup from 4 years ago. Sri Lanka will finish in 15th, Singapore will finish in 16th. A big win in the end for the Sri Lankan side, 78-57. The normal high rate shooting from Sivalingam. She put in 77 for her team today. Her tournament stats, Pamela Cookie, 348 netted from 375, 93%.
That is phenomenal. And those 1,000 shots she puts up a day, really paying dividends. Great number, but also such high accuracy. When she gets that ball under the post, she very rarely misses, as we see from that. And a great addition to this team and giving back. Now I just want to see how they develop.
So a pat on the back there from coach Gina Dassa.
I love this ritual here, the respect that they have from each other and the blessings they get. And from the stats here, 78-57, 86 shots on goal for Sri Lanka. That's what got them up compared to the 64. The turnovers conceded were pretty similar, so they were both getting ball, but it was how they converted it at the end.
And Singapore did win that final quarter, 17 goals to 13. But the damage was done by the Sri Lankan shooter, Sivalingam. Hannah Wilkes, you're courtside with the player of the match.
I certainly am. Guy and Julie Amaruansa, a great performance from you out there on court, because you can have the tallest goal shooter in the tournament, but you've got to get her the ball, haven't you? How proud are you of how your team played?
Actually, in this moment, I feel I'm really happy, and I thank to my coach, Ms. Tilaka Junadasa, manager, doctor, and my teammates for this achievement. I'm really happy. Yeah.
15th you finished then in the World Cup. How much do you think as a team you've learned and improved over the last week?
Well, we have to improve our commitment levels and our team combination, and that we've learned from other teams.
How much have you enjoyed being in the World Cup here in Liverpool?
Yeah, so much enjoyed. We'll have to enjoy a lot till 21st.
Well done today, very well played. We'll let you go and celebrate with your team. Natalie, some really great passages of play there from your team. You started well, won that fourth quarter, but just couldn't quite get it done in the middle.
I'm really happy with what we actually did in that match. We showed fight and we made lots of changes to try and change it up for us. So I'm actually proud of the way that we fought today, and I'm proud of our finish.
Your defenders did very well in the circle up against a 6'10" shooter, Sivalingam. Sindhu Nair getting some great ball and great intercepts, wasn't she?
She did, and you know, I think you've got to do the work outside. We've talked about making sure it wasn't just left up to her. So I think we did that much better today and actually slowed that ball down a little bit. But yeah, just tried so hard, and you can't ask for more than that. They just really tried. Their word today was perseverance, and I think our defenders really showed that.
How proud are you of how your team have developed over the course of the last 8 days?
Very, very proud. You know, we've learned a lot as a team. You know, we've learned a lot about resilience, we've learned a lot about consistency, and we've learned a lot about actually managing those critical moments. So from here, we make sure that we build on what we have learned and build on those strengths that we've also learned, and make sure that we're taking those into our championship, which is SEA Games at the end of the year.
Well, good luck at the end of the year. Thanks very much, Natalie. Let's bring in the Sri Lankan head coach as well, if we can. Tilaka, congratulations. 15th then you finish in the World Cup. Give us your assessment of that team performance.
Yeah, I think we were strict with our strategy just to have a long pass on the top of the circle. But as I mentioned earlier, whenever we pass from the long, so it was not successful. So the girls have to have the best person, but most of the time they managed to do it. And defensively, the players were really struck with the attackers, so it's give us a lot of turnovers. So it's happy to finish as Asian champions as it is.
I've got to ask you about Sivalingham. Phenomenal for you on that shooting circle all through the tournament. She is 40. Looking ahead to the next World Cup and beyond, have you got the shooters coming through to help you continue and grow as a netballing nation?
Yeah, I already have identified one shooter, like she also from Jaffna, and she's 6'5", a bigger body. So she's in the team, but she still need to do a lot of basic fundamental just to stand under pressure. So hopefully with a lot of training and some exposure series, she will be there for the next Asian Championship.
How proud of you of how your girls have performed on court?
I'm really proud to be finish as Asian champions as it is. But in a deep down, I thought that we could have to finish maybe 13 or 14 because we were just there and we give it away. So, but still, I'm happy with the performance the girls did. Because it's a very strenuous netball all this time. We never played 6 games in a row. So I'm happy, really happy how the girls cope and how they compete on the court. I'm really happy.
Can't ask much more than that, can you? Well done. Thanks very much.
Thank you.